So I think we're just a couple of minutes short. I just want to give, folks the ability to come in on time. But we're at 11 on the dot here, so we'll just wait another minute or so, and then we'll do some intros, and then Kevin can take over and lead a little bit of the discussion. Um, so before we get going, maybe Kevin, do you want to do an intro to yourself and then sort of provide a basis, a background to your work, and then kind of connect the dots between myself and Santos, and we can kind of kick off the conversation from there.
Sure. So I'll just give a brief background for those who aren't familiar. So I have been really interested in the Lightning Network for the last year or so, maybe a year and a half now. I decided to start a Lightning podcast. Zebedee's been a great sponsor of the podcast. It's really all about, what can this technology unlock? Because I realized that this was going to be a pivotal moment in Bitcoin's history where now we have this payment platform that we can do all sorts of cool things on that we couldn't before. And so just really discovering and exploring what these possibilities are has been the focus of my show. And I know you guys are doing the same in the gaming industry, is trying to figure out like you put how can Bitcoin be helpful in games, right? Like what can it do for gamers and for communities? And this Zebedee Bots product is I think an interesting use case in that direction. Maybe Andre and Santos, you guys can give a little background on just introduce Zebedee Bots, and then we can kind of get into some more finer topics after that.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Kevin, for that intro. I think maybe some folks would even appreciate a little bit of a background to Zebedee, right? What Zebedee is, what we're doing, and then a little bit about myself and Santos. So I'll do a quick intro on my side, and then Santos, you can chime in and provide some feedback from yours. So I'm the CTO and co-founder at Zebedee. We are a remote first company. We've been around since late 2019, and we're now 50 plus person company building gaming infrastructure solutions, SDKs, APIs, developer dashboards, all entirely built upon Bitcoin, and in this case Lightning Network, right? That's the technology that allows us to create commercially feasible microtransactions at scale with extremely tiny fees. We're talking about the general transaction value on Zebedee right now in Zebedee Games, for example, is I believe it's like 100 sats, so we're talking about 0.002 cents, which is just infeasible in any other, financial system that we've been, used to, I guess. So, today we're here because we have a big launch with the product hunt for the Zebedee Bots. Zebedee Bots is a service that community members and community managers can integrate into Discord and or Telegram, and allow for the users of that community to interact with value. So you can, the same way you send messages to your friends inside of Discord, you can now use the Zebedee Bots to send money, and we're talking about instantly settled Bitcoin left and right. So I think the conversation today is a bit about the Zebedee Bots, but in general also about Bitcoin, about Lightning Network, about gaming, and what it means to bring real money into games. But yeah, Santos, do you want to give a background to yourself, what you've been up to the past couple of years, and why Zebedee and specifically Lightning drives you so much?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Andre. Hey, everyone. I'm Santos Fernandez. I'm the business lead of tech and product at Zebedee. Work very closely with Andre. Super passionate about product, Bitcoin, always learning more. My background, like kind of how I got here, decade plus ago, I grew up gaming, playing semi-pro and esports, StarCraft 2, World of Warcraft, Counter-Strike, and my most recent position before joining Zebedee, I worked at American Express on the global data repository team. That team integrated the first Chinese bank with the American Express payment network, China Merchant Bank. I played a role as a product owner on that team. I left American Express to join Zebedee because I was very optimistic about the Lightning Network and the opportunity that it brings to gaming. There's so many cool new gaming modes, products, features that we can build and are building here. And I think ZebedieBot's one of those for sure.
Love it. Maybe we can start this conversation with some practical examples for people. Can we start maybe with a discussion about like how the Lightning Network is changing and revolutionizing the gaming industry, and really like let's hone in on some examples that you guys are seeing today at Zebedee.
Definitely. Yeah. So this is a great point to bring up because I think a lot of folks like to voice, Bitcoin is changing, is impacting this industry, or Bitcoin is allowing for X, Y, or Z to happen in the other industry, and I think it's hard to get concrete examples like real value, right? And so, something that we've seen very, you know. First and foremost, that's very clear is the impact, even though we're talking about microtransactions in games, the impact is actually macro, right? So we're talking about, microtransactions in games that allows for users to earn and pay each other to have interactions between a game developer and the gamer, for gamer to gamer, and even between bots themselves, right? You basically have money involved. One very crucial example that we've seen is, in emerging markets, specifically countries like Brazil, that we have quite a significant user base at the moment. These folks have, a propensity to game. They have a propensity to be online already. It's one of the most online countries in the world, and we have are powered by Zebedee, specifically Counter-Strike, our integration with Zebedee Infuse, but many of the other mobile games. And what we've seen is it may seem like tiny amounts of value to us potentially in the United States, who are receiving 100 Satoshis, 1,000 Satoshis. But over time, what we've seen is Brazilian players of ours are earning enough to pay rent. They're earning enough to go to grocery shopping. They're earning enough to be able to, afford additional, what is it, computer hardware, swag, software, whatever it is that sort of drives them. But it's important to highlight that like just because it's tiny transactions, the impact is not tiny. We're talking about real impact, right? This is just one set of users. This is just one country that we've seen that. But the ability to have bidirectional value transfer from the game to the player from the game, and vice versa, is really important and is really impactful for the users that we've seen. So that's one example, right? We've seen that pretty up close with the Brazil market at the moment.
Love it. Santos, is there anything else you're seeing on your end?
Yeah, absolutely. Back when I first started playing or gaming and gaming at a high level, Andre brings up a really great point, and I want to riff off of that. There was really no way to earn without playing 14 hours a day. Going to like South Korea, if you're playing StarCraft 2 as an example, being a part of like this gaming camp. Now there's the opportunity to actually earn by gaming globally. Yeah, so it's basically enabling so many more people at like an intermediate to advanced level rather than just like the very top levels of gaming to actually begin fleshing out a career, earning money, the best money doing so.
Yeah, if I can just chime in a little bit here, I think the interesting point is that right now in competitive, video gaming, esports, etc., really you have to be the top of the top of the top to potentially monetize that capability, right? You're going to spend hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of hours learning and perfecting this skill set, but then you sort of are unable to monetize it or make a living out of it, or even it's not even necessarily about making a living, but really see a return from it. It's none of that, right? And so now through the use of Bitcoin, we can, and by putting real money into games, you can have this notion of democratization of esports, right? Like you can get together with your friends and play a round of Counter-Strike and have money involved. You can get together with your buddies and play some mobile games and have actual rewards that are valuable, and you can go out into the world and use them. So I think that is very important to highlight, right?
Yeah, 100%. I think this idea of earning Bitcoin is going to be what onboards like the next billion people to Bitcoin. I don't think, there's a set of people who want to buy it. I think most of them have bought it at this point, but most people don't really care about buying financial assets. They just want to do fun things. They just want to, live their life and use the apps that they love. And gaming is a perfect example for where we can get these people onboarded to Bitcoin without ever having to buy it in the first place. And you're right. You can earn for things that you never could before, and you don't have to be the best in the world to be able to earn a bit of money. I think we're seeing that with creators and gamers. It's happening all through the Lightning ecosystem right now, where that barrier to earning is dropping tremendously. And this may be a good segue into the next kind of discussion point I want to bring up is, why is it important that we're using Lightning and Bitcoin in gaming? Because there are plenty of examples of games that have been built on other blockchains and without blockchains. And why do we need these two pieces of technology to enable the use cases that Zebedee can offer?
Yeah, definitely. I can take a stab at this one. I think before we get into Bitcoin versus anything else, I think it's important to highlight that what we're talking about is onboarding billions of people into a new money technology. If you remember back in the days of onboarding folks into the internet or to email, that was so foreign, right? And in order to onboard those folks, it's very much aligned with what you said, Kevin. We can't expect people to be buying Bitcoin every time, right? I think Bitcoin is different things for different people. For some of us, it may seem a financial asset that grows in value over time. For other people, it's their livelihood, it's money, it's day-to-day activities of transacting money. So it has to be easy, right? It has to be familiar, it has to be approachable. And so something that I think is really important is Lightning is easy, not necessarily on the developer side, but on the user side. We're talking about invoices. You scan a QR code, you make the payment. We're talking about Lightning addresses. You type an email like address on a phone and you press send, and then that transaction goes through. We're talking about sending and receiving transactions and money on Discord and Telegram, right, through the Zebedee bots on Product Hunt right now. So these are things that are now possible. You can send money by typing a message. And so I think it's important that we need to understand that to onboard billions, we need to bring UX, right? There needs to be the UX to feel familiar. And so that's one point that I think is important to highlight. The second point is why Bitcoin, why Lightning, or even why not other blockchains or whatnot. So the cheapest thing you can do in the current financial system in terms of transactions, online or et cetera, is effectively like an app store purchase, which I believe is 69 cents. But really when it hits your bank account, it's 99 cents because of the 30-cent fee, et cetera, right? This is the cheapest thing. So it's just commercially infeasible. You can't do what we're trying to do. So first of all, the technology is just inherently better, right? But then you can go out and say, okay, why Bitcoin and why not the rest? Well, the rest, when I'm saying the rest is any other token, these are not, in our view, they're not money, right? These are technological experiments. They have merits in their own ways, shapes, and forms. Money to us is something that is not controlled by an entity. It's something that just exists. It's akin to the internet, right? It's the power of access to that capability. And so first and foremost, Bitcoin is important because of its decentralized nature. It's global money, accepted everywhere. Understood everywhere. Doesn't matter the country, doesn't matter the regional jurisdiction you find yourself in, right? So that's one important piece. It's the most well understood, most well leveraged, most well exchanged, cryptocurrency, I guess, in the world. Second, Lightning is the scaling solution that allows us to do microtransactions, right? The Lightning Network is a decentralized P2P network that allows us to scale the use and transactions of Bitcoin off chain, right? So we need that capability so we can scale. We're talking about video games. Video games have, billions, 2 to 3 billion new gamers out in the world. Big games have millions of monthly active players. We're talking about potentially billions of transactions a month, right? We need to scale to that level. So Bitcoin and Lightning really do provide that. And then I'll let Santos chime in, but I think the important piece is also in-game tokens is not the path, right? That's not where we want to be. Maybe Santos, do you want to touch on how siloed economies and in-game tokens is also a piece that we want to sort of solve?
Yeah, absolutely. That was beautifully said. And it's very interesting because you look at all these different games, and all these games have a different form of fake virtual money. Like World of Warcraft, as an example, literally has people farming herbs, creating potions that will give you like in-game boost, and there are people that will spend like countless hours like creating this value, and then on the opposite end, when you're getting ready to like go with your guild of 24 other people to perform a raid, you go to the auction house and you buy all these things. So you create all this value, you earn value, but the money is not transferable. Just like Andre said, in terms of the security, the scalability, the global nature of Bitcoin, imagine replacing this fake in-game money that actually has real world value assigned to it. Like you can buy gold from World of Warcraft. As an example, there are sites that sell it. Imagine if you just replace that with Bitcoin or Sats, and it's just native. You can then transfer that value from world to world. And I see Zebedee, especially with Zebedee bots being able to have that bidirectional payments, as well as login with Zebedee to be able to transfer that value from world to world. And Zebedee helps facilitate this and the replacement of these fake monies, which will enable so much more like value to be created and exchanged all over the internet. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, if I can add just one bit here, Kevin, I think which is really important to highlight is, Bitcoin is the most well understood and accepted and adopted and liquid, currency in the world. I think when it comes to users and gamers, it's important, but it's also really important from the developer side, right? We are building infrastructure for developers to power their in-game economies, their in-game tokens, their in-game rewards with real money, Bitcoin. And so it needs to be something that is well understood and that isn't, for lack of a better term, like shady, right? Game developers, in our experience, what we've seen is game developers aren't so, connected in the sense of like, why aren't we shilling them a token, right? Like that always resonates because they think, okay, I understand this is just money, right? Otherwise, we could be shilling them a token that they have to sell, that they have to like grow in value, and et cetera, et cetera. Chris Moss, our co-founder at Zebedee, can speak at length about his experiments and his growth around the industry and how it changes when you add this incentive, right? And then just touching on contemporary things right now, we've seen the situation with other chains and in terms of like regulation and so forth. From a game developer standpoint, if I am a multinational game developer studio, I need to secure my IP. I need to invest in resources that make sense. And if I'm betting on a blockchain, or if I'm betting on another system that is not as stable, secure, distributed, and scalable, that's really bad for me as a business. So Bitcoin being the most accepted, most understood, and most available is really important from the developer side. Right?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And the idea that Bitcoin is money, that I think is a very important concept. That now you have all these different ways you can earn Sats. Participating in various Lightning apps. Zebedee is one of a handful, or more than a handful. I mean, now we're looking at like dozens, maybe even hundreds of different ways you can interact on Lightning and pay people or earn Sats. And I think that's an important feature for money to have, right? Like you earn money. You don't, like, no one says, I'm going to go buy some money. They say, I'm going to earn money. I'm going to get a job. I'm going to earn some money. I'm going to, and now you can, it doesn't have to be through a job now, but now we have this ability to earn Bitcoin. And I think that's really powerful. One thing I want to double click on is the power of interoperability here. Is there a way to quantify like how important it is that this money can be transferred, as you guys said, across different games and across different ecosystems, and you can just use it everywhere on the internet? Like, how do we quantify that and the importance of it?
Yeah, I mean, that quantifying with data points is pretty impossible at the moment, I think. But I think it is the most vital piece for any type of money, is that there is a shared understanding of it, right? And in order to have the shared understanding, you need to speak Bitcoin and Lightning. I need to speak Bitcoin and Lightning. Santos needs to speak Bitcoin and Lightning, but also my games and my apps and my services and my websites, right? They all need to speak the same language. I think what's interesting is if you compare it to the current financial system, right? We have something like Cash App, which is dollars, right? And you have dollars, and then you have something like Chase, right, which is another provider, and then you have something like Revolut, or you have another bank in some other part of the world. And these banks all speak dollars, right? They all speak the same money language, but they're not interoperable in the same sense that Bitcoin is interoperable. I can't just, send 50, send to my Cash App account $50 from Chase. Like, it's not as simple, right? There's like all these hurdles and intermediaries to be able to provide that capability. And so Lightning and Bitcoin in this case, providing that base layer of understanding of money. The same money that I have in the United States is the same in Japan, is the same in India, is the same in Brazil. And because Bitcoin is global money, it has the same value everywhere. But when you talk about currencies, that's where like currency exchange comes into play. And that's why, for example, earning Satoshis in emerging markets is a big move right now for a lot of folks in emerging markets, but also companies. It's because that is actually impactful. We go back to the very beginning of the conversation, like that's a macro impact. We're talking about earning 10, 50, $100, right, by playing and participating in these communities. So that's really important. But then I just want to touch on a piece that I talked about, the Lightning address in a previous conversation. I think that's one of the like really crucial pieces, and it becomes very visible. Is something where like my podcasting app can now send and receive money to my gaming app, right? My game can interact with my bank, or my subscription service for a newsletter can now be paid in this. You can now send and receive messages in Discord and Telegram with Bitcoin value attached to it, right? Like all of this, the same way that the internet is interoperable, right? The same way that emails are interoperable. You can do from Outlook to Google to ProtonMail to Tutanota, whatever it is. Money has to be interoperable, and so I think it's the single most important thing for a decentralized global money is for interoperability to be everywhere. So that's kind of like my take, the most important in my opinion.
Yeah, that makes sense. Santos, do you have anything to add on that point?
No, I think what Andre said, coming from background in financial services and fintech, that is all 100% true. And that's the daily driver for me, is to be able to connect all these different applications, enable new forms of earning with incredibly low, if not no barriers to be able to do so.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. I mean, like I wonder what the impact of having this like frictionless environment where, as you said, Andre, you can have your podcast app send money to your gaming app or to your banking app, whatever you want to use, whatever app involves a transfer of value, it can now participate basically seamlessly with all the other apps that you use today. And if it's anything like the internet, where we saw a just like the friction dropped by a factor of 10 or a factor of 100, and we saw this like massive proliferation of information just being blasted out all over the internet that could otherwise never have been seen by people. It makes me very bullish about how much payment activity could come when we reduce the barriers to payments. I think a lot of people look at the addressable market for something like Bitcoin and Lightning, and they say, well, the addressable market for micropayments is pretty small. Well, we never had the tools to do that, right? So I think like by lowering those barriers, like we're going to surprise a lot of people to the upside by how much activity can happen when there are no barriers for people to sling sats around the internet, for playing games, listening to podcasts, for doing their day-to-day tasks and enjoying their day-to-day apps as they normally would. I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I just wanted to add 2 points. I think what's interesting is like we're bringing money capabilities into users' native environment, right? If you're on the web, you can now use Bitcoin and Lightning to send and receive and make payments. If you're on Discord, you now have that capability. So you're playing, we are enabling value transfer between peoples, right? Of communities, of families, of commerce environments, right? Like all of these are capabilities that we're bringing to the forefront. And in the case of Zebedee, like our goal is to sort of be where you are. So if you go from the game environment, Zebedee's there, to your Discord environment, Zebedee's there, to your mobile app on the go, Zebedee's there, right? So that's kind of the idea. And that's really the big push that we're trying to do today behind the Product Hunt release, right? I think Bitcoin and Lightning can sometimes be this sort of cryptocurrency can sometimes be kind of too far for some people, too complicated. And so the idea is, let's bring them familiar experiences, right? So the product hunt release today is really bringing Zebedee bots to the masses, to the wider product community out in the internet. Is like, check us out on Product Hunt, give us feedback, right? Let us know what you think on the Zebedee bots. But the idea is to bring that capability and functionality to as many people as possible, right? Because it is impactful. We go back to the ARPANET days when people were, the early days of the internet, when that was being designed. I guarantee you those people were not thinking that we would be streaming, ultra high HD video games from Japan to Brazil and streaming that at 60 frames per second, right? Like, that was not why the internet was built. So I think we're just scratching the surface on what's possible with Bitcoin and Lightning. The same way the impact of the internet over the past 30 years, I think Bitcoin is going to make that look tiny.
100%.
Yeah, no.
Go ahead,
Sorry,
Santos.
Kevin. Yeah, just like Andre was saying, like back in the days of like IRC, looking for scrims, like looking for 5v5, scrims playing Counter-Strike Go, talking some trash. And now you can actually like compete and transfer this value like right over Discord, which to me, Discord is like the evolution of IRC. So there's so many new sort of value, like economies of value transfer emerging due to the fact that this is all interoperable. And you can use Discord on your phone, you can use it on your laptop, your tablet. It's everywhere the gamer is. This is like their native environment, which is just super cool. And if you're also like looking at the earn and kind of give back or spend capabilities, you could be a streamer earning sats, playing games and engaging with your audience. They're tipping you. Then when you'd like, you could make it rain back on them using the Discord bot, giving everyone or a specified number of users some sats back. And now you're onboarding and giving people their first sats potentially, and creating an even larger network of people that understand this money.
Yeah, this is all really powerful. Maybe now's a good time to open this up to some audience questions. I think, Andre, you're labeled as host right now, so you might have to bring people up if audience members have questions.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking here to see if some folks, anyone want to ask a question to myself, Santos, Zebedee bots related, or even Kevin as well. Let us know. I mean, I can keep talking, but I feel like I can keep talking about this for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, if there's no Q&A, we can kind of go through some closing remarks. Does that sound good, Kevin?
Yeah, sure. That sounds great. So Zebedee bots, you guys launched this on Product Hunt today. You also have an AMA on Stacker News. So I guess if listeners here have further questions that come up over time, they can fire them off to you guys. I think you guys are going to be on there all day, right?
Yeah, so we're going to be at Stacker News all day, answering as many questions, Zebedee bots related or not. We've got, I think, 4 or 5 people on deck answering questions, myself included. So feel free to drop some questions and some comments there. Zebedee bots is live on Product Hunt. It would mean the world to us if you were to check it out, comment, give feedback, support the launch. The idea here is really to push forward these technologies, these capabilities, and really try and show the world like what is possible, right? We made an awesome set of brand visual assets. There's a really cool video by our brand design team that's put out, so please check that out as well. But really what we're looking for is feedback, right? The goal is to build the best user experiences for gamers, for users like all of us here. And so, be direct, be frank, let us know. We're able to take it which way you want to. And the goal is to grow. Zebedee bots for Discord and Telegram is just the beginning. Santos hinted at our Zebedee Streamer product. There's more exciting things coming up about the Zebedee app in the next coming weeks as well. So expect a lot of updates from the Zebedee side. But yeah, check us out on Product Hunt, and I'm sure we're going to have more conversations about this moving forward.
Very cool. I just have one question before we kind of close on Zebedee bots. So I know there's a number of different ways in which you can send sats on Telegram or on Discord. I want to hear from you guys what you guys are most excited about. Which are there any particular use cases or any particular features of Zebedee bots that you think are maybe underappreciated or that you're really excited about?
Santos, do you want to take this one? I'll go second.
Okay. I think for me, like I've been doing a lot of like educational content, using like Zebedee Streamer, streaming onto Twitch. And I think like what I found is, without the Zebedee bots element, the way of giving back and engaging with the individuals that are viewing like my stream or my educational content, it's not nearly as effective. As soon as you bring in Zebedee bots and you're able to like make it rain, you can with one command send sats to like 10 plus people, 100 people, and it's done with all one command. So it's super easy. And then you have like the /send command, which you could do like a lightning address payment and send money as easy as a text message. So those two things for me like are incredibly powerful in increasing engagement with the community and giving back, and maybe even giving someone their very first stat, which is a very powerful thing to do. So yeah, I'll kick it over to Andre.
Yeah, those are great. Those are also two of my favorites. So /rain allows you to send to, I believe it's up to 1,000 people. So if you have a big Discord and you can do one command and you send like sats to hundreds of people immediately. One cool thing that I like about that is if a person doesn't have sats yet, the sats remain waiting for them, and then they can claim them back. So you can physically onboard people by one command. You can onboard hundreds of people at the same time. So really, you can bring your community together. Kevin, I wanted to touch on your last one of the points you brought up, which is interoperability. We go back right to the, in this case, the Lightning address, right? With the / command, I can send money not only to my friends in Discord on the same server, and I can handle Lightning Network invoices and so on, but I can now type /send Kevin@kevin.com 500, and from Discord's interface I can send money to another platform, to another service, to another user, right? It's as simple as sending a message. Like that's actually it. So we're not locked inside of the Zebedee server, we're not locked inside only Discord, we're not locked inside only Telegram. This is fully interoperable with everything, right? So I think that's a really important point to highlight, the /send to Lightning addresses. And then last but not least, I think one that's very handy that a lot of people may not know is the /me. Shows you your static QR code. So if anyone ever needs to pay you, you just go to, send them a message and type to the bot /me. It'll show your static QR code, your Zebedee website page that you can, go to and have more information about your user. And that's very handy. So like, oh, you need to pay me, /me. The QR code comes, static QR code allows for all sorts of payments. So I think those are sort of the most exciting ones. And please provide feedback. We're looking to add new commands. We're looking to provide new capabilities. We want to grow with the needs of the customers and the gamers and the users. So if you want, this feature, reach out. We're open. We're on Twitter. And even if you want to comment that on Product Hunt or Stacker News today, that would be great too. But yeah, those would be some of my favorites for the bot.
That's awesome. Yeah, the ability to blast out this rain function, like if you can blast out payments to hundreds of people at a time who may not even have Bitcoin or Lightning Wallet set up and just have the sats wait for them there. That's a pretty seamless way to get people involved and onboarded. I think this is really cool stuff. I'm excited to see and to watch this grow and progress over time. And maybe we can open up one more time, see if any listeners have any last minute questions. And if not, you guys will be on Stacker News and Product Hunt all day to answer any remaining questions.
Yeah, definitely. While we wait for some Q&A, if it comes, I just wanted to thank Kevin for coming through and helping us out on this release. We've been big fans of the show, and I think also as sponsors as well. So keep up the good work on that. And for those that are listening, thanks for coming through, and look out for more releases from us. Again, check us out on Product Hunt. It goes a long way to get a vote and support and feedback from everyone here. But look out for new releases. Like I said, Zebedee streamers coming through. We're going to do some really cool stuff with the Zebedee app. And then we'll likely come back here and do some more space discussions. So you can ask more questions. But otherwise, thanks everyone, and I'll see you at Stacker News as well.
Thanks for having me on today. I really enjoyed this, and yeah, can't wait to follow along with it.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Really appreciate your time listening. And like Andre said, please check us out at Product Hunt and give us your feedback. We want to make the product the best that it can be and as easy to use as possible.
Awesome. Thanks everyone. We'll chat soon. See you next time. Check us out on producthunt.com. Take care.